What is going on, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of the Matter Mentality podcast. Hopefully, you are enjoying it so far, regardless of where you're tuned in from. Hopefully, you are enjoying it. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, not even sure, but hopefully, you're enjoying it. So, another episode. In this episode, we are going to dive a little bit deeper into the business, give you a bit of background, give you a bit of a look at what we're working on, and a bit of a prep update for myself and some of our clients. So, obviously, for those who are paying attention or have been following or have been on the Instagram, on my personal Instagram, or just on the podcast, the other one, you know that I am prepping for season B in the IFBB. So that is the Queensland State Show, the possible South Australia show, the possible Victoria show, and the Queensland National show. So at the moment, we are about 18 weeks out, I believe, and we have just finished a very aggressive phase, pushing food down, and I'm starting to implement now some high days back in. So our food went rather low, took out fats, went to trace fats, and kept carbohydrates pretty moderate, like 200 grams, protein about 220. And the idea here was to drive as much fat loss rapidly as possible at the front end, whilst I still had plenty of fuel from being in a surplus, having a large amount of body fat and excess mass, and allowed that to try and depreciate early whilst I was still energized, not fatigued, not tired, not too hungry, and kind of maximize that fat loss phase. And it worked pretty well, down about 6 kilos from the start. And in total, I've probably dropped about 13 kilos from December. So that gives us a pretty decent starting point. Weight is tightening up, waist is tightening up, body fat is tightening up. It's all good signs, all good things. Minimum effective dosages of supplementation and training. We are progressing up through a shoulder and arm program. All of my biomarkers are pretty well, due for blood tests and due for everything to be optimized and looked over. And with that, we're going to be in a good position to execute the next phase of training. So we'll go into some more cardio work, go into some more metabolic work, maintain steps or increase steps a little bit, and we'll progress our maximum recoverable volume and start to push the shoulders and arms to the point of no return and start to see where we can maximize recovery. And then reactively we'll implement a bit of a deload. So idea there is that when it comes time to it, we'll give ourselves a bit of a relaxing ease off for possibly a week on a specific muscle group, on a upper or lower focus, or perhaps full body, and mitigate and de-escalate some accumulated fatigue that is inevitably going to occur in a bodybuilding prep. As most people will get in most standardized periodization programs, you will start to accrue and develop some systematic fatigue that's just going to occur as a result of continual training, continual dieting, continual supplement use, continual activity, and obviously to allow for maximum recovery and maximal stimulus and sustained stimulus, we need to just get to a point where we can de-escalate that and just remove some of it. So we will deload when necessary. I don't really enjoy deloading too early, as it obviously takes away from the intensity of the training. But when it comes to the bigger picture, it's important to look at whether or not it's going to be necessary and if it will impact training down the track. So far, I feel good. Plenty of food, plenty of energy, plenty of sleep, plenty of recovery. It's the best position I've ever been in for a prep, and it's leaving some pretty good positions for us down the track. Now, it's my other clients. We've got 2 other guys so far going through their preps as well, which is cool. It gives me my first chance at really prepping people alongside myself. And that's a pretty big stride for me as a coach, as a business, as our education expands and my knowledge expands. So we've got a classic physique guy and we've got a physique competitor as well. And those are both moving in a pretty progressive fashion. One of them is starting off in a pretty low body fat marker, which is fantastic. It means we have room to fill up, means we have room to push training, push health, push our supplements, maintain health, and not be forced to go too aggressive for no reason, and get him into a good starting point so that he can enjoy life a little bit towards the back end and be less exhausted, less stressed, less fatigued, and be less demanding and taxing on the overall body itself, thanks to the fact that he spent a good time in the off season being consistent, adherent, progressively training, sticking to our programs. This guy, if you follow our Instagram, you'll see that we train daily 5-6 days a week and have done so for the last 3 or 4 years. And we're pretty consistent with our training volume. So he is pretty consistent with his training. And that is a pretty cool point to be. It's just a starting update for you guys to keep you in the loop of where we're going and kind of why. Not everyone is willing to talk about kind of how they do things. And for me, it doesn't make sense, but it kind of gives you an update, a little bit of where the physique is going and where the competitors are focusing. We've got other clients obviously doing a list of things, but in conjunction with my own prep, this is kind of where they're going as well. Now, other things that got going on. So we wanted to give you a bit more in-depth look and background to the business and to what is going on and how we're doing things. So, this week has been a pretty progressive week with bringing clients on board. So that has been a mainstay focus, as well as our sleep content, sleep modules. The sleep quiz has been finished. And if you haven't done that yet, I recommend going to jump on and do it. It is completely free and helps you with improving your sleep domains, which, that's a pretty big system to improve. So getting amongst that is going to give you some insights and some tips. It takes 10 to 15 minutes. Yes, it's a little bit long. Yes, there's 100 questions or 80 questions, I think it is. But from the answers you get and the information you're provided with is 10 to 15 minutes of your time worth, 10 years of better sleep, 5 years of better sleep, a year of better sleep? I say yes. Absolutely is. And the greater the degree of intensity of your physique goal, your training goal, your performance goal, better sleep has to be at the top of those priorities. So jump on there and give that a whirl. Keep an eye out on things. We are working on a sleep seminar or webinar. We are working on a webinar just to give you guys some more information and more freebies around understanding sleep to improve your overall health. It's not something that needs to be locked up. It's not something that needs to be locked behind closed doors. A lot of people know about sleep. It's just that people don't have time to go read the research and data like we do. So we're going to put it in a digestible fashion, in and out, drop some bombs, ask some questions, get you guys to answer it, get you guys to engage, and we'll move on. So keep an eye out for that. Next thing we have coming along is our fundamentals course. We are working on facilitating and building one of the greatest fundamentals and basics principles of training that exists, and I genuinely believe is going to be one of the most comprehensive but easily digestible, which is something I pride myself on, which has been able to take complex conversations, complex information, and try to dilute it and water it down in a simplified, understandable term, because doctors are not talking to you when they write their research. They're talking to other doctors, and it frustrates me because the gap between literature and general population is then held accountable to only the doctors or researchers that understand it or read it. It doesn't really work for everyone. So for me, the premise is always take what's written, take what's known, take what's there, take what's researched, and simplify it as much as possible to the lowest common denominator, not as an insult or a derogatory specific term, but more so the fact that not everyone has time to understand or read the research and know these things, and it limits them to understand what is true and what's not. So for me, this course is going to be the most comprehensive fundamental system, laid out course that you will find. Is not trying to certify anyone. We're simply trying to get better information out there, whether you be a coach, a new client, whether you be a new to the training industry, the training world, new to the gym. Most coaches, I know for a fact that what is putting into this and what we're doing does not exist in most PT courses, most online courses, because they obviously have their basics to a criteria they need to tick off. That's fine. We've gone a bit more in depth. But again, we aren't trying to certify anyone. We're simply trying to upskill. We're trying to make the standard better, raise the bar, and set better expectations of client and coach alike. Because the more the client knows, the more the coach has to lift. The more the coach has to go study, the more coach has to be better. And it lifts the overall standard of the entire industry. And we can start to expect more from people, and we get better results. If you are not spending 5 or 10 years wasting time learning things like we did, then you're probably going to get results faster and start to learn more quicker. And you can decide if you have an interest in this industry. You can decide if you have an interest in progressing your training. You can decide if you want to reach out to a coach in our network and do a prep. All of those things will, be a part of the system that you're engaging with. So that is one of the coolest things that we are working on that I am most excited about. It is obviously my passion lies in coaching people to improve their lives, but if I can help others reach and understand a degree of knowledge that I have that took me years to acquire, and we can do that faster, then that's a no-brainer to me. It's not something I want to hold behind closed doors. You can't die and take your knowledge with you. You can't die and take whatever you've left with you. There's no point in keeping it to yourself, because at the end of the day, what's gone is gone. And when it's forgotten, it's forgotten. If you are able to leave it behind and you're able to do things here and now whilst you're here, then it's going to be beneficial to everyone. And it's simply available then to progress and get better. And that's really all each level of scientist is trying to achieve, right? We're really just trying to create a higher step from which the next generational person can work from. And we're doing that by stepping off the generation that came before us. And that is what we're trying to achieve and trying to do, is to lift that expectation, lift that standard, lift that knowledge. Because if the general person knows more than the PT, well, then the PT has to do better, or they don't get that PT. And it's not to spit on anyone, it's not to piss on anyone, it's not to take away anyone's business. So the fact that you should be doing better, you should be better, you should be upskilling, you should be knowledging, you should be improving your knowledge, sorry. And that's kind of what the goal is out of that. So that is going to be our next course, our next thing that we're working on. Obviously, we have just finished the the 6 weeks tracking course as well. And that we believe is a pretty cool concept as well, to have it laid out, a laid out system, 90 odd modules, teaching you step by step kind of why you track certain things, why you eat certain things, why you do certain things, why we eat protein, why we eat carbohydrates, how they affect training. It's not a full-on comprehensive nutrition course, a very basic systemized way of explaining tracking your macros, tracking your food, why you track your food, how to track food, how to enjoy food eating out and still track it. Basically empower you to take ownership of your results and learn along the way. That is available and good to go as well. So by all means, jump on the Matter Athletica Institute. It will be there and you'll be able to see it. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. We have a few other things in the works. There are potential presentations and seminars toward the back end of the year at the Fitness Expos in Brisbane, I believe. We're working on some things there, which will be super exciting. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy presenting. I enjoy giving information. I want people to learn more. Am I always right? I like to hope so. Does it mean that I'm trying to hurt people? Absolutely not. I'm trying to facilitate knowledge that people may not have had access to or didn't know was there. And that's going to, improve people's lives, it's going to make things better. Just the idea of being able to present to groups, to businesses, to students, to workshops that, there is a better way than what we grew up with. There's a better way than what we had when we were that age. There's a better way than what we've been taught or told. And that can help us achieve the results we want to achieve, the life we want to achieve, the success we want to achieve, the sporting outcome we want. And that's really all I try to do there. So that is going to be the next thing that we work on, and something I'm pretty excited about is putting together the sleep webinar, the nutrition expo, or the nutrition presentation or training presentation to the expo, the fundamentals of training course. And we've got a few other courses after that I'm ready to build out that I think is going to be super exciting, and really how we start to change the game. So you are literally coming in at the ground level to hear how a small business is planning to change everything. And I have nothing to hide. There is nothing to push on you. There is nothing that you are forced to do by listening to this and following along. It's just simply, this is how we're doing it, and this is how it's done. And eventually everyone has to start somewhere, and this is how we're going about it. So please like, share, subscribe, follow, listen, tell your friends. The episodes are going to get bigger. They're going to get longer when we have greater guest lengths, when we have more time. There's going to be a lot more to it. For now, we're just simply giving you nuggets of information that you can hopefully take away and implement and learn from. And that will be all we are after. If you have any other questions, guys, please feel free to message me, message the business account. Sign up to the website, subscribe, follow along there, join the Facebook group. It is free, of course, and you can engage with us whenever you'd like. That is all from us this week, and we'll be back with a few more episodes next week. Catch you guys.